Welcome to NFL Nexus. Okay, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of Chris Ballard, the GM for the Indianapolis Colts. It's the end of the 2025 season, and man, what a ride it's been. You watched your veteran quarterback have this incredible comeback story, leading the best offense in the entire league, only to see him go down with a devastating late-season injury. At the same time, your former first-round pick, the guy who was supposed to be the future, he's kind of been struggling. And now you're hearing whispers that maybe a change of scenery is what's best. So now you're staring down the barrel of the 2026 offseason. You've got two quarterbacks, one huge contract to figure out, and a salary cap that is squeezing you tight. So what do you do? That, my friends, is the massive franchise-altering question facing the Colts. And today, we're going to break down every single piece of this wild dilemma. This one question right here, it's literally everything. The entire future of the organization hinges on what happens next. We're not just talking about the 2026 season. Nope. The choice the Colts make is like a high-stakes poker game, and if they make the wrong bet, it could set the whole franchise back for a decade. It's going to cause a huge ripple effect, deciding not just who's under center, but who gets cut, who gets paid, and what this team even looks like for the next 5 years. Every other decision starts right here. You know, at the heart of all this is that classic NFL question. Do you go with what you know? Do you bet on the proven guy, the tangible production, even if it comes with some serious risk? Or do you hold on to that promise of untapped potential, just hoping that a player's crazy physical gifts will finally, click and turn into superstardom? The Colts are staring at both paths, and the one they take could lead them to a Super Bowl, or they could end up just wandering around in quarterback purgatory for years to come. Okay, so this slide just perfectly lays out how tough this spot is for the Colts. Over on the left, you've got Daniel Jones. This is a guy who completely rewrote his own story in 2025. He came into camp as basically an afterthought, but he flat out beat Richardson for the starting job. And he wasn't just a game manager, he elevated that entire offense, making them the #1 unit in the whole league. I'm talking yards, points, you name it, they were on fire. He was playing smart, he was accurate, he finally looked like the quarterback the Giants thought they were getting at #6 overall. He was the answer. And then boom, a torn Achilles in week 15 throws his entire future into question. An Achilles tear is just a brutal injury for anybody, but for a quarterback who uses his mobility, that's a huge red flag. And of course it happens right as he's about to become a free agent. Then on the other side, you've got the human highlight reel himself, Anthony Richardson. The guy's a physical freak, cannon for an arm, runs like a running back. He's everything you'd cook up in a lab if you were building a modern NFL quarterback. But for whatever reason, those flashes of brilliance have been just that, flashes. The game seems a bit too fast for him, the reads are a step behind, and some of those mechanical issues from college are still popping up. So now the word around the league is that a split is probably coming. But here's the thing, even with his struggles in Indy, his potential is so tantalizing that GMs across the league will be lining up, thinking their coach and their system can be the one to finally unlock all that talent. So that's the choice. Do you pay big money for the guy who proved he can win but is coming off a major injury? Or do you move on from your high-upside project and risk watching him become a star somewhere else? But let's be real, in today's NFL, this huge decision isn't just about talent or a gut feeling. It always, and I mean always, comes down to the money. The Colts quarterback decision is being squeezed by the cold, hard math of the salary cap, and that's where this whole problem gets really, really messy. So according to the cap gurus over at SpotTrack, the Colts are looking at about $32 million in cap space heading into the 2026 offseason. Now for you and me, that sounds like we hit the jackpot. But in the NFL economy, that's barely enough to get by. When the top QBs are signing deals for over $50 million a year, and even solid middle-of-the-pack guys are getting $35 to $40 million, that $32 million is going to vanish in a hurry. It's a decent starting point, for sure, but it's not nearly enough to fix all their problems. Yeah, that $32 million number is basically an illusion. Let's just walk through this. Let's say the Colts sign Daniel Jones to what they call a team-friendly deal because of the injury. Maybe something like 3 years, $90 million. Well, that first-year cap hit is still going to be at least $25 million, and that's being generous. So boom, right there, you're down to just $7 million in space. But wait, you still have to sign your entire rookie class. That's probably going to cost you another $5 or $6 million. And just like that, your $32 million is gone. Poof! You have no money left to re-sign a key guy like wide receiver Alec Pierce. You can't go out and sign a veteran pass rusher or a good cornerback. You're basically stuck. So to make any of this work, Chris Ballard has to get real creative with his accounting. So how do you just create money out of thin air in the NFL? Well, this slide shows the two main ways GMs do it. Option 1 is restructuring contracts. This is the more common, less painful way to go. You take a player's big salary for the year, you turn most of it into a signing bonus, and then you spread that bonus money over the rest of his contract. It's kind of like financial magic that lowers the immediate cap hit, but really, you're just kicking the can down the road. You get relief now, but you create bigger problems for yourself in the future. The second option is a lot more direct and a lot more brutal. You start cutting guys. And from the looks of it, this is the path that's going to lead to some fan favorites getting some bad news. So, who exactly is on the chopping block? Well, the analysis points to two specific, well-known players who could end up being casualties of this cap crunch. These are the tough, cold-blooded decisions that GMs have to make, the kind of moves that might make fans upset, but are often necessary if you want to build a championship team. First up, we've got wide receiver and special teams ace Ashton Dulin. Let's just quickly break down these numbers. His cap hit is almost $3.6 million. That's what he counts against the team's budget if he's on the roster. The dead hit of $670K is money the Colts owe him no matter what. Think of it like guaranteed money. But the number that really matters here is that last one. By releasing him, the Colts instantly save about $2.9 million. It's a quick, clean way to create some much-needed breathing room. So why Dulin? Well, it's a pretty simple and, kind of ruthless cost-benefit analysis. He's a great player on punt and kick coverage, a true special team stud, but his role on offense has basically disappeared. He had only 5 catches all of last season. When you're paying a guy almost $3.6 million, you just need to get more than that. You add in his history with some nagging injuries, and he starts to look like a luxury the Colts just can't afford. And that potential $2.9 million in savings isn't just about saving money either. That cash could be put directly towards a new contract for Alec Pierce, the team's main deep threat who has been one of the best in the league at yards per catch. It's tough, but sacrificing a special teams guy to keep your big play receiver, from a strategic standpoint, that's a no-brainer. And now we get to the real stunner. The second name on this list is linebacker and 2024 Pro Bowler Zaire Franklin. We're talking about a team captain, a huge leader on defense, a fan favorite. A move like this would send absolute shockwaves through that locker room and the entire fan base. But just look at those numbers. An $8.2 million cap hit is a lot for an off-ball linebacker. And even with his $2.5 million dead cap charge, cutting him would save the Colts a massive $5.7 million. That's not just breathing room. That's enough cash to go sign a legit starter in free agency. But could they really bring themselves to cut their defensive captain? So how on earth do you justify cutting a guy who just made the Pro Bowl? Well, you have to look past the reputation and dig into the analytics. And for Franklin, the numbers are flashing some pretty serious warning signs. First off, his tackle numbers while still leading the team dropped by almost 30% from one year to the next. That's a huge drop. But what's even more concerning is his grade from Pro Football Focus. PFF, which grades every single player on every snap, gave Franklin a grade of just 38.4 for the season. And let's be clear, that's not just bad. It was the second worst grade given to any starting linebacker in the entire NFL. He really struggled in pass coverage, and he wasn't as good against the run as his tackle numbers might make you think. See, the Pro Bowl is often a popularity contest. The analytics tell the real story. And the story here is about a player who, at 30 years old, might be starting to decline. It's a brutal business. But cutting him now, a year early, might just be the smartest move the Colts can make. All right, so let's imagine the Colts actually do all this. They make the tough cuts, they free up the cap space, and they sign Daniel Jones to be their starting quarterback. That solves one huge problem, but it still leaves that other 6'6", 245-pound problem hanging over the franchise. What in the world do you do with Anthony Richardson? Well, you better buckle up, because the answer might be the most shocking trade idea of the entire offseason. It's the question you can't avoid. You just can't keep a top 5 pick on the bench forever. His trade value goes down every single day he doesn't play. So ESPN analyst and former NFL front office guy, Louis Riddick, has thrown out a really wild idea for where Richardson could go next. A place that seems impossible at first glance, but could totally change the landscape of the AFC. No, you didn't hear that wrong. The Kansas City Chiefs, home of Patrick Mahomes, the best football player on the planet. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Are they crazy? Why would the Chiefs trade for another quarterback? I get it. It sounds totally nuts on the surface. But when you really dig into Riddick's logic, there's a fascinating method to the madness. Riddick brings up this brilliant comparison from his time working in the Eagles front office. He reminds us that their coach, Andy Reid, has done this exact kind of thing before. Way back in 2009, the Eagles had their franchise icon Donovan McNabb as the clear starter, and they shocked everybody by signing Michael Vick. Nobody understood it, but Andy Reid saw a chance to grab a uniquely special athlete for basically nothing, stash him, develop him, and just see what could happen. Reid is not afraid to collect talent, especially at quarterback. He's not thinking about a QB controversy. He's thinking about an opportunity. So the most important point here is that this trade would not be about replacing Patrick Mahomes. It would be about saving Anthony Richardson's career.
Riddick is arguing that Richardson needs a total reset. He needs to fix his image, not just as a quarterback, but also from a competitive standpoint, which is a nice way of saying he needs to mature and learn how to be a pro. And what better place on earth could there be to do that? All the pressure would be gone. He could sit in that QB room with Mahomes for 2 or 3 years, learning from the absolute best in a system that's famous for being quarterback friendly. Nobody would question the move. They'd call it brilliant. He'd be in a stable, winning culture with a Hall of Fame coach who could give him the structure and accountability he desperately needs to finally unlock that incredible talent.
So there it is. A massive franchise-defining decision for the Indianapolis Colts. Do you put your money and your future behind the veteran who proved he can run a top offense but is coming off a ticking time bomb of an injury? Or do you trade away the unproven phenom with the sky-high ceiling, take what you can get for him, and risk watching him become a superstar for somebody else? There is no easy answer here, and the future of the entire franchise is hanging in the balance. So what would you do? If you were the GM, would you lock in Daniel Jones, or would you find a trade partner for Anthony Richardson? Let us know your master plan down in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives into the league. You can also help support the channel by checking out our coloring books. They're a great way to unwind after a stressful day of being an armchair GM. You can find the link for that in the description or just scan the QR code on your screen now. Thanks for watching.